That's right, we are going to go over 7 quick tips to start 2025 strong as a music maker. So thanks for tuning in. Normally this channel's got loads of tips from famous artists, but this is just stuff I've gathered over the years I think is going to help. Let's get into it with tip 1. Now, you've heard this before, but it's really important. Set goals for your music and write them down. Apparently, you're way more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. And what's important as well is an extra thing I learned quite recently is write down what you have to do to hit that goal, or you think you have to do. And preferably that action will be repeatable. So you can actually check if you've done it or not, and you'll track it. So I have like a document that I can easily access on my phone or computer, just where I can look and see my goals, which is fine. Good to have that signpost to look up to. But then you're like, how did I drive there? What do I actually have to do? What directions? What repetitions do I have to do to get there? So having that's really important. And having them measurable is good. So how many times a month do I have to do this thing that makes it more likely I'll hit my goal? So if you want to get your music out there and get more gigs, well, maybe you should post, I don't know, a video maybe twice a week of you performing. And then also maybe you should reach out to venues maybe twice a week. Ideally, you could do higher numbers than that, but you see what I mean? And you figure out, okay, if I want this, what do I have to do to get there? And if you're not sure, the internet, Google it. There'll be someone who's put a guide to it, and then figure out from there. For example, if you want to get better at mixing, well, how many songs are you going to mix per month? How many songs are you going to mix per year? Like stuff like that. Because doing is often pretty much always the best way to learn something. So you'll have heard people say set goals before, but set action steps to them as well. And it's quite good if it's time bound like that as well. So your goal, what do you have to do to hit that goal? How many times you have to repeat that thing to hopefully hit that goal? And how many times do you have to do that per month or per week to hit that goal? And you'll be surprised how productive you can be. And writing all this down will help keep you focused when you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm bored. I'm on my phone. Well, that's a hip flash, but you know what I mean. Right. That's it. That's the first tip. Next one. Right. Next one. This one's one that no one's going to love. But you've got to turn the spotlight on yourself and be like, what are your weaker areas? And then the good news is you can always improve them. So you're going to figure out what are your weaker areas. You're going to list them out, and then you're going to research how to improve them. And with the internet, it's never been easier to research stuff and figure out how to improve it. For example, my mixing is all right, but I've mainly mixed electronic stuff for years. I want to get better at mixing bands as well. So I'm going to mix more bands, for example. So that's just a good example that I noticed last year that I'm not as good as mixing bands as I thought I was. So that's okay though, because I know I can get better at it. So easy, fine, it's cool. Write down your weakness, then figure out how to get better. Right, so this one is about getting better, but it's not just about that sort of upward trajectory, because it's never like that, just like a ladder. It's always like, whoa. Don't know what that is, kind of swimming through loads of squiggles basically, but the idea is you're going to commit to either playing your instrument or working in your DAW like Ableton or whatever for at least 15 minutes a day every day, all right? And you're going to keep doing it. Or if you're a songwriter, you're going to practice songwriting at least 15 minutes a day every day. And it's this compounding practice where it doesn't have to be that focused. You're not like, I will learn this solo and it'll be amazing, or I will mix this exact song and it'll be the best mix ever. Sometimes what I'm talking about is just getting your hands on the instrument or in the DAW and just playing around doing cool stuff. You got to play and enjoy it. So rehearsal isn't always about that really intense focus time. You can like sit on the couch with your laptop, if you've got one, DAW, and just produce out your laptop speakers for a laugh. So that is a cool thing you can try for sure. Tip number 4, become a nerd about music. So watch music documentaries, watch music YouTube videos, biopics, read autobiographies, everything. Read tutorial books, watch tutorials. Just become the biggest nerd ever. Listen to podcasts, watch Red Bull Music Academy with all the famous artists interviewed, all that. I want you to become the biggest nerd in music, because the way you're going to improve is by soaking all this up by a sponge, hearing from other amazing artists who will probably inspire you and make you feel less alone on this quest as well. So I think become a massive nerd about it, even more than you are already, okay? Okay, another one is celebrate even the smallest of victories with gusto. And whatever that way means to celebrate it, I kind of just mean like mentally celebrate it. Like it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm going to get wasted. I know we're called whiskey and synths, but moderation in that. So I want you just to, because as musicians, and music's quite entrepreneurial, entrepreneurs like this too, it's like, you're just like obsessed with getting to the next thing. You hit thing, you're, oh yeah, what about that? But if say you hit a milestone of like, maybe you get 100 followers, be like, that's amazing. And just let yourself be happy about that. Every small milestone. Don't forget to be like, oh, that's quite cool. I'm really grateful for that. Or this little gig down a pub that you did and there was 5 people there, but those 5 people really enjoyed it. Remember to be grateful. That is a cool thing. Ideally it's going to be bigger and bigger audiences, but remember at each milestone to be happy with the progress you've made. Okay, next one. No comparisons to anyone else. Music's about being unique, about expressing yourself, and you are unique. So commit just to not comparing yourself to anyone anymore. And the last one is, if you're at the stage where you're constantly putting out amazing music, you're really happy with it, and you're putting out quite regularly and consistently, maybe it's time to start learning a bit about music marketing, okay? And this doesn't have to be the dirty word everyone thinks. There's so many musicians are like, ugh! But it's actually, if you've got something you think's of value, it's your duty to market. For example, this book here by Rod Judkins, Make Brilliant Work, one of the best books ever on creativity. You have to go and buy this right now. I'm not affiliate link or anything. It's just unreal. It changed my life. Rod, who wrote it, he actually said he spent longer promoting this book than he did writing it. Look at all those pages. I kind of thought, how long does it take to write a book, man? I struggle trying to write outlines for these podcasts. A whole book. What the hell? With pictures and everything inside it. What the? Yes, unreal. So he spent longer than he did writing it, promoting it. So if you've got something of value, he clearly thought he did with this, your duty is to go out and promote it, all right? Show the world what you've got and just get over the hang-ups of like, oh, I don't like social media. It's not the 2000s anymore. It's nowhere near the 80s or the 70s anymore. You just got to play by it. And those musicians you admire from back in the day were doing the promotion via the channels they had back in the day as well. When music videos came along, they jumped on it, right? When I don't know, whatever came along, they jumped on it. So be an opportunist and jump on the things right now that can help you with your music and get it out there. Because your music's amazing. You deserve to have it showcased more. And even if your reels on Instagram, whatever, are only getting 200 views, imagine 200 people in a room. That's a lot of people. So remember, no comparison solver. We already said, no committing to no comparisons. So you got to and appreciating the small successes. So I think you should just go for it. And I will recommend Bacon Bits is a good music Instagram guy. And who else? There's a few of it, but that's one of them anyway. Worth looking at. Definitely. I think they're worth looking at if you're at that stage anyway. So hopefully these 7 quick tips will help you get started in 2025, right? And I'm just going to leave it at that tonight. My computer's running out of battery. The audio's going to cut off. Someone else is going to comment like, oh, why have you got a microphone but you're not using it? Yeah, because it failed in a video and it's going to fail now if I keep going on as well. And if anyone's like, oh, the light is so distracting and your thing on your glasses. Well, I need my glasses to see. And if I turn off this light, look at that. Rubbish. Look at that. It's the top light. Terrible lighting. I'm just working with what I've got here. So my commitment in 2024 is to stop getting raging at trolls trolling me about my setup. And if you want me to have a better setup, send me some money, all right? But anyway, this is the waffle rant bit at the end of the podcast I always do. It's always a bit of a jokey bit then. Don't take it too seriously. Oh, he said this. Yous are amazing. And that hopefully was a funny end to the podcast. Maybe it's back. Comment if you think that was awful, Dave. No more waffles at the end of the podcast. But yeah, hopefully those tips helped you. To be fair, very few people make it this far. So if you have made it this far in the podcast, you're obviously not one of the whingers about the ring light and the podcast mic cutting out sometimes. You're one of the legends who's in it. You're going to take these tips and go for the one. And if you've got a tip for me, I want to hear it. If you made it to the end of this podcast, I want to hear your wisdom for 2025. What are you going to be doing and what can you tell me? Because I need help as well. Obviously, look at the state of me. But anyway, so this has been Whiskey and Synths. Slanjavan music producers, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later. Whiskey and Synths.